Hello, Anne. How are you?
I'm
And
good.
yeah, welcome to my YouTube channel, Be Up, Upgrade Your Mind. It's all about sharing the teachings around Joe Dispenza, Abraham Hicks, and all those wonderful mentors that are right now in the world. And I invited you because I saw your post on Joe Dispenza's group about manifesting quite a great thing. So I
Yeah.
would like you to talk about it.
Yeah. Thank you. Good.
So
Yeah.
tell us what was the problem? Because it was like you had a problem with the tax office, right?
Yes, I did. So I have an ongoing, or had an on, I should say, had an ongoing problem with the tax. So I I have, like, in Australia, because I work for myself, we have every 3 months I have to put aside what I should pay in tax. So say like 30% of what I make, I've got to put aside. And every 3 months, I've got to pay that to the tax office. Anyway, I was not managing my money. And so that was an ongoing problem and something that I've been doing a lot of Joe's work to try and sort out. So I had a 3 month one, and that was from July to September. And
Mhm.
this is recently, so around December, July to September, and then another one that would soon be coming up, which would be October to December. Anyway, I knew that 3 month one, I phoned the tax office and I know I've got to sort out a payment plan because it's coming up and it'll be due. And I knew that 3 month one would be about 22,000. And I thought, I haven't put $22,000 away.
Yeah, that's
And that
horrible.
uh, and that was also because, for another reason, I had processed so many invoices in that 3 month period. So that 3 month was condensed with so much processing, because I had not processed money for a couple of months, that it was like that was a really big tax bill for that 3 month quarter.
Yeah.
Anyway, I had an old debt that I was paying off and then completely not managing my money. So I had this recurring pattern of chaos, overspending, but then also just all these different bills coming in. So car repairs and whatnot. Anyway, I knew I had about, it was probably about a week or less than a week until that 22,000 was due. And I looked at my account and I had about 2,000. And I thought, that's not gonna, it's not gonna happen.
Yes.
Um, and then I knew that the reason it was like that was because of my own chaos, or my own sense of disorder, I should say, with
Yes.
money. And I've been trying to work with that. And around that period of time, I was starting to do more of Joe's work on not just manifesting the money or a solution, but also figuring out what was going on within me to perpetuate this problem. And so I was doing some work on that. And I guess I came to the conclusion that I needed to be in a sense of order within myself. So order and balance. And I had been doing meditations around that, visualizations around that. And so leading up to the 11th of January, which is when I had to have the 22,000, I
Yeah.
thought, okay, I've got maybe like a few days left. But
Mhm.
every time a thought came to my mind of, you don't have 22 grand ready to pay this bill. And the ATO had said to me, you can't put anything else on your payment plan. You have to pay this one, because I'd been so horrible with all my taxes. He
Yes.
said, no more. Like,
Yeah.
you have to pay the next one, or all your payment plans get cancelled.
Yes.
And then that would just not be good. So anyway, it was nearly the 11th, and I had this mantra that I was also working with, and I think it's a Neville Goddard mantra, or I'd heard it on YouTube from somebody who does Neville Goddard's work,
Yeah.
and it was, do not be moved by appearances, and appearances will move for you.
Wow.
And yeah,
I
and so
love
I thought,
it.
yes, yes. So working with that feeling of order in my body, and I really worked with it in my body. Joe talks a lot about feel that feeling, not just think about it, but really feel it. And I had to really work with my nervous system, work with my body to create that sense of, hey, everything's in order, you're up to date, things are in balance. So I even started changing my spending. I mean, it was about 3 days before the 11th of January. So, you know, I can't change my spending within 3 days and save $22,000. That's not going to happen. But I thought I need to live it. So I changed my spending. And every time the thought came to my mind that I don't have the money to pay 22 grand in 3 days, I just thought, no, do not be moved by appearances, and appearances will move for you. And I thought, well, I'm not going to be moved by it. I'm not going to be impacted by it. I'm just going to focus on my sense of order and my sense of balance and spend and live as though I was already up to date and in order, and things were under control, I guess, in terms of money, because it was chaos energy that I'd been in.
So you were also spending like in a, like nothing happened, not overspending, but not feeling like anguish when you were spending money on things, right?
Yeah, I guess I was. Yeah, like not feeling anguish. In that 3-day period where I really started changing my spending, I was feeling like I had like a budget, like a framework or a budget. And before that, it just felt like leaky energy, like I was just spending here and there and not really thinking what I needed to put away. And then I was having all these unexpected bills come in, car repairs, all of these things. But yeah, in that 3-day period, I wasn't feeling like, oh, I can't spend. Like I still had all my needs met. I was still spending, but it was a different energy. And it was not, I guess, because I felt more in order in myself, I was able to keep the house clean, cook food to eat, and not be running around all everywhere and buying takeout. And I just was more settled. So that feeling at the core of it was able to help me change my spending habit, but also live in that experience as though everything was okay. There was nothing I needed to worry about. Things were in order. It's okay. There's no problem here. Because before it kind of felt like I had this big avalanche of debt or this avalanche of energy that I was kind of running from. And then I really focused on confronting that energy and not being afraid and shifting into a new state within myself.
Okay. So you stopped reacting, and then you were more aware, and you placed yourself, like Dr. Joe says, in the box where it was a different energy, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's it. And I had to work with myself in a particular way around that, because I had a tendency for avoidance. So I found that if I put myself over here, for example, and was like, well, that doesn't exist over there, there was still something in the back of my mind that was like, yeah, but I can't just live in avoidance and pretend it doesn't exist. But I also know manifestation works by living as though the problem doesn't exist. So I have to,
using sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. And I had to find a balance there. So for me, what I had to do was I guess be present and accepting and aware of the feelings that were coming up and were being perpetuated within my mind and my physical body in relation to chaos, in relation to the avalanche of debt. So I couldn't just pretend it's not there. I had to first kind of sit with it and be with it, and then accept it and recognize where that might come from and not be afraid of it. And then once I wasn't afraid of that feeling anymore, then I didn't have to go into avoidance. Then I was able to shift into more of a peace. So yeah,
It's like making peace with those feelings.
yeah, yes,
Pushing them away. I don't want to see it. I
yes.
running away and not accepting that the problem keeps growing and growing, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was doing. So I was trying to find that balance of how do you um, shift into a new reality and it be real, and it not just be avoidance. And so yeah, that's what I did.
And at some point before the solution manifested in your life, you felt a shift inside yourself.
I did.
Okay. So what
Yeah.
happened?
Yeah. So I was actually well, working with myself, because I'm always working with myself, doing Joe's meditations. I print out these little mantras, and I put them on the dashboard in my car. So I printed out that mantra: "Do not be moved by appearances,
Okay.
and appearances will move for you." And I really believed that. So I worked with that mantra. I did meditations, and then I was also doing some work with a life coach at the time.
Okay.
So, and that life coach was somebody who um, I'd actually met at a Joe Dispenza retreat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So they were helping me with a visualization that really tied into the work I was doing on myself and where I was at in life. And the visualization was pretty much about exploring that energy, like the chaos energy, and
Okay.
then shifting. So we did a visualization, and I came up with this visualization of standing on a solid rock, and yeah, and then I visualized money and my relationship with money, so that money was kind of like an energy, or perhaps even a being that I was able to form a new relationship with. And it felt like a really good energy, a secure energy, so an energy that was wanting to help me, and wanting to protect. So I visualized standing on that rock, communicating with that, with money, basically, and getting to know that feeling. And the feeling was, yeah, it's all good. I would never turn away from you. I'm going to help you out. That's what the energy of the money kind of felt like.
So that vision came to you or you created?
Yeah, I kind of created it.
Okay.
So in the work we were doing, he was asking me, I can't quite exactly remember the process, or the question, but I do know we came up with a visualization. So he asked me to create it. And so I basically just intuitively allowed it to arise within me based on what I was feeling.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because sometimes when you do the meditations, visions and realizations arise. So that's why
Yeah.
I was asking if you created the vision or it came to you.
Yeah, I think it came more so it came to me, because it was, first of all, the feeling of what I wanted to feel in terms of like a foundation and security. And then it just naturally came to me.
Oh,
Yeah.
wonderful. And then right there, you knew you were going to be okay.
Yes, yes, exactly. But I had to believe it,
Yes.
because yes, that other part of me could still shift into, or I could shift into the other part of myself.
Yes.
But I had to, I guess, every time that happened, just bring myself back, yeah, and really trust. And so I guess it was such a beautiful feeling, and it felt new and different that I kind of didn't worry as much either about the $22,000 debt that was going to be due in
Oh,
a few days.
that was a clue. That's a clue when something is about to shift, because all the
Yes,
people talk about it when they don't worry about the problem and they feel so happy, right?
yeah, exactly.
So
Because I
and
thought, well,
and then what happened? What was the result?
yeah, so basically I've got this program where I've got to input all of my transactions, and I send it off to my accountant, and he works out what my 3-month BAS, or my 3 monthly tax will be. And so this was the tax for the period from July, August, September. And I had sent all that information to him, I think around November. And normally he's really on point in terms of, you know, he's really quick with things. And anyway, the ATO had said I need to ring them by the 11th of January and pay this BAS. And anyway, the 11th of January came and I didn't have the 22 grand. I still only had my 2,000. Although because I was in such a state before that of disorganization, I did have a backlog of invoices to process, but there was nowhere near 22 grand going to be in that. I thought there's going to be maybe a few grand worth of unpaid stuff. I can, you know, but it's not going to put a dent in the problem. Anyway, on the 11th of January, that morning, my accountant sent me an email. He didn't know what was happening with the ATO. He didn't know I had this phone call with them. But the 11th of January, after like 2 months, he sent me an email saying he'd worked out and balanced all of my transactions, and the amount was ready. And I was so nervous opening the email because I knew, according to my income, it was going to be about 22 grand. And I didn't really want to look at it, but at the same time I was like, it's all good, just it's fine. Anyway, I opened the email and he'd actually, I don't know why, but he'd used a income estimate that I had given the ATO about 18 months earlier. And so he used my old estimate, not the actual figures in the transactions, to come up with the amount that I had to pay the ATO. And so the email said that I had to pay the ATO 6,500 instead of 22 grand.
What a relief. Oh my God.
That's so
awesome.
good.
So if you could give one advice, simple advice to people who are facing similar problems around money, what would it be?
Yes, I think you're working on your relationship with money, working with what's going on within you. Obviously, we can manifest money. I've manifested money before while I've still, I guess, perpetuated my problem. So, you know, the problem is one thing, and it perpetuates the issue. And so you can still manifest in that space, and I've done that before. But you will keep recreating problems. So even though you'll manifest money, there'll be more problems. And so it won't really change your energy. You'll just have some money, but then you'll need it again because your problems still create, for me, for example, chaos or you know, money leaking. So working on yourself, working on what is your relationship with money, what's going on within you in terms of security, order, and balance, or abundance as well.
Abundance also.
Yeah.
I also, I don't know if you've heard about Sadhguru, and
yes,
he also says that money, it should be used for pleasure, not for suffering.
Yes. So, I'm going to remember that. Yes.
Yeah. So, and then, you know, like emergency things that happen, cars that need to be fixed, you know, things that they are not pleasure. Unexpected expenses. So I've been thinking about it, and I am listening to your story, and yes, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. We have to shift that mindset.
Yes, absolutely. We have to. That's it. And then the solutions come from there. Not only the solution or the manifestation, but then you don't perpetuate the old problem, so that you can then build abundance from that space. I think, you know, for me at least, I had to create order and balance and feel right within myself and feel that foundation before creating too much abundance, because if you know, I would probably just leak it all out if I created it.
You were creating abundance, but under limited belief, right? It was going away.
Yeah, exactly.
You were creating it, but you were Oh,
Yes,
interesting. I
yeah,
never was. I mean, this is what I like about interviewing people like you, because I came to also to conclusions about myself, and
yeah,
I'm sure
yeah.
people will do so.
Yes, yeah. And just a note on the solution arising, as soon as I got that email from the accountant and it said I'd only gonna have to pay 6,500, then it gave me a sense of relief and it gave me a sense of achievability. So instead of it being this massive wave of, oh my gosh, I've got to figure out how to get 22 grand, it was, you know what? I have to come up with 6.5, and I already have 2, and that's achievable. And that gave me a little bit of a motivation, so it wasn't out of my reach. So then I was able to do my part. So I felt motivated and I wasn't so chaotic. And I didn't feel overwhelmed. I was able to go and find all this backlog of Medicare processing and invoices. And then I processed that, and there was absolutely more than enough there to pay the 6.5. And I had that within a couple of days. So for me, I had to do my part as well. It became possible. So through the universe and through the work, it became achievable to meet that problem. And there was that magic in there, or that manifestation in there. But I also had to go through the change within myself, and the results of the change meant that now I can feel, I guess, responsible or motivated, or not so overwhelmed, that I can sit down and do my invoice processing now, and create order. Before, it was all just too much. It was like, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna pause this recording and we will continue to talk for a little while. So I'm gonna thank you very much for this interview.
You are welcome. Thank you.
To everybody watching, I hope you enjoyed this interview with Anne, and I hope you subscribe for more interviews like this. Bye.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, what happened?
I'm still here. Are you here?
Yes, I am. Record.